district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
Welcome, Fantasyland, to the GOAT District, the commish evaluation edition. Dan, it's best ball season, brother. It is that time of year. I know the Super Bowl's coming and all that, but, neither of our teams are in it. Let's face it. And as much as I was saying on Dynasty Depot a couple days ago, this is probably one of the greatest Super Bowl matchups could be ever. Like passing the torch. I was talking between Brady and Mahomes and all that kind of good stuff. But Dan, it's best ball season, and that just puts this big smile on my face, man. And I know it does for you too, brother.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I've got 2 of them completely wrapped up. I've got 5 more going. I'm just trying my hardest to not join even more, trying to pace myself a little bit, but it's hard, man. I mean, it's just so much fun getting those drafts in, and especially right now when ADP is all over the place, and big
advantage.
Yeah, it's a big advantage, and the better you know the landscape, the more likely you are to have a leg up on your competitors. So I'm just totally enjoying it right now.
Yeah, I was supposed to come in slow and take it a little slower this year, be a little more focused, leave myself some time, to do some other things. But yeah, I'm similar. I've got 3 still going. Mm-hmm. I've got 2 wrapped up. Got sucked into a live one by Eric. I mean, the Shiva is not the best influence this time of year.
No.
And then when guys like, Nate Dogg from the GOAT leagues and guys that don't usually do the best balls, when they want to jump in, you're kind of like, I'll jump in with them,
Right.
Yeah, it's too fun. And like you said, because the ADP isn't set yet, it just makes it that much crazier right now. And it's just tons of fun, man. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. We're doing one right now that's the first 250 of the year.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild because it's got some really hardcore guys in it, that
I love that.
You look at the owner list and you're like, okay, yeah, I know a few of these guys, and this is going to be a ball buster. And it is. Everybody has already figured out you want to get your guy, you better grab him right now. Don't wait around to, even whatever little bit of ADP we have says he should go. You just get out there and you grab who you want before somebody else does. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that AJ Dillon pick there. I took him in our Hardway draft, or the 77 best ball we did. Anyways, that's enough best ball. Check out Ballin. We dropped last week, and Dan's got more coming on the reg this offseason. But tonight is about commish. The commissioners, Dan, we're kind of forgotten, us commissioners sometimes. And this man, who newest GOAT member of the team, I'm going to bring in now, all profession stuff. Look at this. We're bringing him in. We need like walk-in music or something, but we'll get that going for next time. But John McGlynn, is that how you say your last name? McGlynn?
McGlynn, yeah, that's perfect. You nailed it.
All right, brother. Welcome back. And nice to have you on the team, man.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. This is I listened to you guys earlier. This is going to be a great Super Bowl coming up. I'm a huge Tom Brady hater, so I'm all about the Chiefs.
How can you hate Brady, man? Look, I'm a Colts fan, and was like bred to hate him, but at this point, you just can't. Like, what is there to hate? You know?
Well, you see, like in Chicago, everybody hates the Packers, like with a passion, because it's a rival. I grew up being a Dolphins fan because, well, I was a Bears fan, obviously, and they got rid of Wilbur Marshall. So I'm like, they cheaped out on Wilbur Marshall. So I had to change to a team that just spent money, got free agents, and the Dolphins were known for that. The Irving Fryers, the Ricky Williams, anybody that was available, they did everything they possibly could to sign all the big free agents all the time. And I wanted that team to try to win all the time. And I love Dan Marino too. Well, growing up a Dolphins fan, I had to watch Tom Brady smoke us every year, and just not that we were great anyway, but I hated Tom Brady like Bears fans hate Aaron Rodgers or any kind of rivalry. I don't get me wrong. I respect the guy. I respect him. You can't say he's the GOAT. It took me a long time to admit that he's better than Marino, but with all those rings and his pictures, he rubs in my face all the time and everybody's face how good he is. He's the GOAT. And what he did this last playoff game was absolutely. It was amazing. But the way it started off, the way he kept the flow going, and it's great. You can't deny that he's the best. He's the GOAT.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like, Dan, the difference maker for like the GOAT is, and Manning did it, my boy Manning, is going from one team to another. I know Manning, it was kind of like the dinner table was set for him in a way. But I mean, it wasn't that different with Brady. I mean, who do you bring in? He bring in Gronk like that. As much as I like Gronk, it's not like he was the difference maker or anything. But I mean, to me, that says a lot about Brady. And I think with that whole Belichick Brady conversation, he just like shut that conversation down. He's like, you guys are really discussing that? Here, I'll show you guys. This will take me less than 12 months.
The progression of that offensive line this year, you saw it from the beginning of the season where Brady was getting killed as the season started. Mm-hmm. And as it went on, he got more and more time where you got to see almost the old Tom Brady where he'd stand there and just kind of bounce in the pocket and bounce and wait 3 or 4 seconds and wait for someone to get open. That was you started seeing that as the year progressed. And that gave him time to find these receivers. And with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk and even Fournette was awesome. He made everything work, and I'm sure that I don't know if Arians just sat back and said, "Here, Tom, just call whatever you want. I don't even care anymore. I know you're the best. Here you go. It's your team now." That's kind of what it seems like happened.
Well, I know he did say that he can't believe that they didn't let him coach in New England.
Right.
And that he's an awesome coach and that they've let him come in and coach. But I mean, how do you not let him do that?
Right.
That track record.
I heard about you guys are talking about best ball and stuff now, and I just heard that there's a possibility that there could be 18 different quarterback changes this year. And I'm thinking, man, how do you draft best ball with that many changes? And the running backs.
There won't be that.
Dan's like, that could have been a what is it? GIF?
Yes.
Just Dan going this. It's like you remind me of the oh man, I'm not going to remember the little short guy in Twins. What's his name?
Yep, Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. That's just like Danny DeVito. Like no.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's what I enjoy about the early season best ball is the fact that all this free agency has not happened yet, and so by just getting in there and just kind of looking at the situation and determining the lay of the land, you can kind of make your own predictions about what's going to happen and, how you think it's going to go. And if you're right more often than you're wrong, it can be very, very profitable. There are some years where, I've had a couple of years where early season best ball have not been my best because my predictions haven't been as good, but the last 3 years, my early season best ball win rate has been much higher than, further on down the line, just because I'm making better bets, as I've kind of learned, through trial and error about, how things are more likely to go. So, I definitely have some ideas about how things are going to go this year. Hopefully be sharing them on a Ballin' podcast pretty soon. But I'm still kind of formulating how it's all going to fit together.
Well, that research is paying off, man. It's the more you put in, the more you get out of it. And, it doesn't become just guessing. It becomes your analysis, all your preparation, everything really pays off a lot. That's
I don't even want to tell you how much time I spent on kickers today. Don't even want to mention it.
Yeah, but you know what, Dan? That's another one, and those you gotta. It's like Dynasty, man. Every little edge you can get, and the fact is that, and we've talked about it on this show a million times, Dan, and on our last attempts at balling, and just how kickers and defenses in FFPC best balls, you can find that little edge. That's another spot where you can get a bit of an edge if you know a bit more than your opponent.
Especially in the early season, once you kind of get the lay of the land there, you can definitely get an edge. Quarterback is one of those things where it's going to be, the dominoes can fall a lot of different ways. Depending on where Stafford signs, then that could set the dominoes going one way. Depending on if Deshaun Watson stays in Houston or goes somewhere else, that could set the dominoes following another way.
Miami.
but you focus in on the quarterbacks, but John, the receivers too, man. Pittman, that could be a difference of 5 rounds for him, man. That could be a bigger difference in 5 round for Pittman. You know what I mean? If
Absolutely.
Stafford ends up there versus Eason fighting Brissett for a spot or something like that, which I doubt will happen as a Colts fan. You hope they're going to bring. Sorry, go ahead. Well, do we have a freeze?
A little bit, maybe. Yeah, that's even like possible Hunter Henry might leaving. That there's guys going to be all over the place that are, great tight ends, great quarterback friendly guys that who knows where they're going to land. This best ball thing is, it's amazing that you get to draft this many teams this early and still have, and be when your research and what you're looking for and your vision of your team could pan out exactly how you want it in a couple months.
You know what it's like? It's like dynasty teams that draft their rookie drafts before the actual NFL draft. It's similar. It's kind of got that feel to it where you're got a bit more of a lottery ticket feel to it, Yeah. But you're definitely depending more on talent, and you're deciding is what I think is going to happen, is that going to be good or bad? And you don't necessarily need to know where that quarterback's going to go or where Hunter Henry's going to go. You just got to kind of figure out, is it going to be good or bad? That's, basically how you're judging it.
This season just seems to be such a mess for best balls. It's going to be, it's almost like this has kind of got to be luck, because there's no way people can predict what's going to happen this offseason with free agency, possible cutting 100 million people across the league getting cut for salary cap reasons. Who knows?
I think uncertainty I always compare it to poker, whereas the more uncertainty that there is and the more of that musical chair action that's about to happen, the more of that, the more even playing field it is for everyone, because roster construction is huge. We talk about that often in best ball, right?
Yeah.
Just like it could be in Dynasty, but it's even more important in best ball because you can't make those changes. Once you draft your team, that's it. You pick 3 quarterbacks in a super flex. You better hope those 3 guys are healthy all year, Yeah. So I think that what you're taught, it evens out the playing field. But when guys like Dan start, going deep 48 hours analysis on kickers, I'm not doing that. I was helping my dad move today, and then I got home. My daughter had a bellyache, So I'm not doing the deep dive on kickers yet. But I have done a bit of research. But that's where Dan will have an edge, when he gets to the 14th, 15th round of his best balls over guys, that are just going off of last year's stats.
Yeah, that's what when I always pick kickers, I'd find out who was the kicker who had the latest bye week, who was kicked in a dome. That's I'm like, all right, I'll pick him in round 27, whatever.
I love how precise, Dan. I love how precise his I'm gonna wing it, but it's so precise, Anyways, John, look, this whole thing is we're passing the mic, man. We're passing the torch. This is your deal. We're talking commish tonight. We're talking analyzing a roster. Take the mic, man. Run with it. Dan and I are just grabbing our beers. You need us to pipe in. Let us know, man.
Yeah, I'd like to say that hopefully these commissioner evaluation episodes catch on. I love listening to tons of popular podcasts, and all the hidden gems I feel give me a huge advantage over the normal reader or researcher. I had the luxury of throwing in my ear pods in on a 4-on, 4-off rotating 12-hour shift, listening to over 50 podcasts and taking notes, everyone else's research and thoughts. And I have time to trend my favorite and analyst combined rankings and trend players on a monthly and yearly basis. I put way too much time in this awesome hobby like you guys do, but it's my favorite thing to do. It's just what I love doing. My second favorite thing to do is run leagues. I've commissioned as many as 13 live leagues every year. I love running leagues. It keeps me together with my buddies.
You just got a guy who's going to have probably triple digits for sure in best ball teams by the end of this offseason, and he's shaking his head at your 13 commit. I've got 3 teams I commission. I'm shaking my head. So
I've commissioned before, and I'm very, very thankful and happy for anybody who takes on that role. I mean, it's what a godsend.
Yeah, I have to schedule 13 individual meetings at different places and bars, and I call the bars ahead and get specials on, hey, if I'm going to have 14 guys here, what kind of food, what kind of beer specials? Can I have a section? You're not going to have any live music, so we can actually hear the draft going on. I have a person that does stickers. I have a person that enters the name in the computer, so I pay for their food and beer while they're doing it for me. And then it's down to a science now. I have notes. I have everything. I have a couple of helpers that love coming with me. Pretty soon, my sons are gonna be old enough to. They've been drinking for a couple of years anyway.
I was gonna say, don't you have 13 kids that can manage?
my oldest guy worked through to 11. So, but he's in his weekends, his days off are usually they don't work with the draft schedule. My other guys at college in Wisconsin Whitewater. So, hopefully over the summer he can help me out with some of these. But a lot of times it's just one of the other guys. Somebody who's in redraft leagues that didn't do Dynasty yet, wants to learn how to do it, or just somebody who wants a couple free beers and a sandwich. That's usually the best guy to grab. It's throw stickers on the board. Someone who's into fantasy football, who knows the players. So I don't got to be like, he's a running back. Oh, it's spelled this way, or look for this. It's a blue tag, not a red one. Guys that know, they hear a name, they know where to go, pick it up, put it on the board, and get it going. I could do a 12 team. We don't have kickers or defenses in our league, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But I could do a 12-team, 30-round startup draft with live people yelling out things in less than 4 hours, right about 4 hours. So I got it pretty much down to a science now.
Nice. Yes.
And it's
I remember Dan back. I remember doing for whatever reason hockey playoff. This is like my last memory of live drafts. This is how long ago it is. Hockey playoffs. Pools. For some reason, we're always like in a bar or something. And I remember being in this bar, and this is the first time, Dan, where I realized I might need glasses because the bar had the dim lights. And I'm like in round, I don't know, 13 or something. And I was not, I follow hockey, but not to the point where I'm in the 13th round. I know who the hell to pick. And I just remember I couldn't see anything. I like my eyes were like blurry. Everything I looked at, I couldn't even pick. I was like, you know what, guys, just pick the rest of my team for me. Because that's the last memory I have of a live draft. Now it's like you got 20 screens in front of you. You know what I mean? But John, I know you're committed to the live drafts because you're like, I'm not doing any of these online things.
Was that weak eyes, JD, or a weak liver?
Both. Combination of both.
Yeah, doing a fishbowl is my only live league, or my only online league, I guess,
crazy.
As far as that goes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's I've been in that for 4 years in a row now, and it's awesome. There's nice chat groups in there. I was in the He-Man division last year with a lot of great, awesome dudes. So the chat line was everybody helped each other out, and then they had that like 12s or 4s or 5s or 7 where 1,200 or whatever it is, 400 number 4s or whatever it is, whatever the number is. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh my God, after a couple of weeks, you're like, God, turn this thing off. I can't take it. You look you missed 742 messages last night. It's like, what? So our leagues are pretty fun. There's a lot of chat, but those are kind of crazy, but it makes it makes it fun. But, I commission, like I said, these 13 live leagues, but I love running leagues. It keeps me together with most of my buddies. I've known since, first grade probably, as well as my neighbors, coworkers, guys I've met on Twitter. I put these leagues together on purpose to keep my skills, great. I love doing live, and it gets me out of the house too. I get to go to bars with my buddies all the time.
Hence the 13 kids.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, my next favorite thing to do is to trade. I've learned so many trade tactics, player values, how to buy low, sell high, and combo players for what their value is for picks, and how to throw a couple picks in there, how to always ask for like an extra third or extra fourth round pick somewhere, kind of get that in there, or how to sneak in one of your players you want and put a bunch of like other players that, this guy has tried to trade from before that you don't really value that much. it's so being in this many leagues with trading with so many people, I learned a couple things with that too, on how to trade or how to improve my team or, help other people. A lot of people call me, would you do this? Or what would you make this trade? Or how would you, I want this guy, but I only have so-and-so. How do I do it? I'm like, well, you're going to have to trade with this guy to get him because he's already said on a group, on a live chat that he's trying to get so-and-so from so-and-so. You have to always, like there's guys who take notes on every single trade in your leagues. So I don't have the time to write down notes for 13 leagues of trades that happen, but there's guys who they remember like 4 years ago that they tried sending this guy off, or they drafted him and they drafted him way too high and they'd like to get him back. There's guys who keep notes on that kind of stuff. That's way beyond my, realm of thinking, but I do the best I can to try to remember what people have sent or offered before to help people out or help myself out. But,
no, I think that's a good point because I know in the GOAT leagues, Dan, you'll attest to this. We talk about it often. It's nonstop in the GOAT leagues, and especially when you got a guy like Nate Dogg in there, at least 5 times a day, he's letting everyone know who he's looking for, who he's selling, who he's buying. And I'll admit, like most of the times when he does that, if there's a name that interests me, I will pull up our teams and I'll take a look to see if there's an offer. Even though Nate and I are like, he's like the one of whatever, Dan, that are ready to trade. And then there's like this other percentage of the league that are not as ready as he is, every day. But it sparks something. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I want to buy that guy. So the fact that you track that on guys in your league always gives you a heads up because like you said, when you're ready to move someone or you're ready to, that, oh, that guy was looking to move that guy, so you can it gives you a starting point.
So as the commissioner, I tell everybody all the time, the correct thing, the polite thing to do always is send a counter. Even if you don't include the person that was sent to you, say, you know what, I'm not trading away Nick Chubb right now. I'm keeping him, but I do like this guy and that guy. And even if you don't put anybody on your side of the trade and just trade up, mark all the players on his team that you're interested in. So it could be 13-0 trade. Just send it over. That way this guy says, oh, so he likes him. Then you could send something back to try and trade for, I'll send you this guy for these 3 guys or that 2 guys or a couple of draft picks if you want, my 3rd string quarterback or whatever. At least everybody knows what's going on. But a counter is the polite thing to do in every league. Everybody should implement that. We're at least one counter back. And then if it's something outrageous, you could deny that. But the polite thing to do is send a counter just so everybody knows.
I feel bad if I don't.
Yeah, I don't. And then some people get like, they get butthurt. Like, what would you send that for? Why would you do this? There's no, one man's garbage is another man's gold, the way I see it. You never know what's going through somebody's head. I've seen some trades go by where it's like, what the heck was this guy thinking? How would he do that? But, you never know. Do you catch them in the wrong day or the right day? Or they hear some kind of news break. They want to get rid of somebody real fast or their possible injury or trade or whatever. You never know what's going through somebody's head or why they're getting rid of somebody.
Right. Yeah. And, some trades that look horrible, to start with end up being, they can be pretty even or even go the other way. So
Russell Wilson is getting thrown around like a sack of potatoes in almost every league I'm in right now for some reason. I know they're talking about he had such a good beginning of the year and now it turned into a running game. And next year, Pete Carroll's already talking about implementing nothing but a run almost. But Russell Wilson's still going to cook. He's not going to not throw any passes. What he's going for, a couple seconds, and a middle-aged receiver that's. It's ridiculous to see what he's going for. I don't know why he's getting thrown around so much, but it is what it is. But I don't know. Another thing is like I said, I like trading, but not knowing how to type very well puts a huge damper on any thought of my writing career. And reading puts me to sleep. So here we are doing hot guy stuff and talking commissioner stuff. This is what I like to do. So here's my hopefully my commissioner podcast.
Well, so, I'll put it this way on Russell Wilson. You were talking about him. The last time that I can recall that he had kind of a bad finish to the year and everybody was down on him and they were talking about how much they were going to run the next year and everything else. He ended up being the quarterback 3 the next year. So.
Yeah, he gives people the Matt Ryan kind of effect where they have every other year is a good year and every other year is a bad year. And they don't want to get caught holding the bag on the bad year.
Well, he's just had his bad year, if you want to call it that, where he was the 6th overall quarterback.
He started out so hot, though. Like, he was unbelievable in the beginning of the first half of the season.
Trust me, I have him and DK stacked in Trade Addict 5, and I was just crushing that league for the first half, and then the wheels fell off, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt, but I mean, you know, you have to understand with players like that, it does tend to be a cyclical thing, you know? So, you know, he's just gone through an extended bad stretch. What are the odds that's going to continue into next year? You know, they're going to find ways to fix things and they're going to bring him back. And, you know, I'm bullish on Russell Wilson right now. You know, I'm loving the fact that he's dropping a little bit in best balls. And, you know, if I can grab him for a little bit cheaper, I'll take him.
I love stacks, but you know, sometimes they're the death of you. But I can't. It's like a moth to the light. I can't pass it up.
I trust me. Hashtag always be stacking. You know, but I've gotten a lot better at not reaching for it, not overpaying for it. It's just if it happens, it happens. And you know, some are worth maybe a bit more than others in a sense. So you're willing to put a bit more into it. But yeah, I'm a sucker for stacks too, man, for sure.
Yeah. So that's some of the reasons why I like doing commissioner stuff. But that's a lot of things that there's just so many things to do in the off season now. This is the busy time of year. This is when commissioners kind of want everybody's attention. A lot of people are just like, oh my God, thank God the season's over with. I want to just kind of let my brain stop being mush for a week and stop setting lineups and stop sending trades and stop the waiver wire and being up at 2 a.m. to see who I got when the waiver wire clears. And, you know, everybody wants this to break. And I'm like, hey guys, let's go. Let's get busy. We got a lot of stuff to do over the weekend. All the stuff you complained about since week 1. Let's hash it out now. So
let me ask you this, John. Let me ask you this. Right now, Super Bowl is in a week and a half, right?
Yep.
Is now the time to put up those polls for any league setting changes or any rule changes? When is the best time to do that, in your opinion?
Well, here's the part where live drafts come in handy because we have league parties a week after the Super Bowl. They start a week after the Super Bowl. Everybody gets together. We all drink beer. We have nothing but time. A whole wide open.
When are we invited to one of these? Do you guys have cheerleaders too? Like, Jesus, man.
I'm not going to talk about the past parties. I'll talk about the present parties. But this is when I've kept notes. I have notes for this league, the Space Nerds League, the Meatheads League, the so-and-so league, every league I'm in. So I have notes on every problem that somebody – every time somebody says, well, this is crap. Why is this happening? Why is that? And sometimes I make a mistake when I come up with and 2 years on around, nobody even noticed anything. And they're like, why is that? You got it marked on this. And I'm like, holy cow. I have 13 different sets of rules. So that one slipped by in this league. And I had a setting set like this. So we're not going to do anything now. We'll talk about in the offseason about changing it when everybody votes on it. But it's got to be a 66% or better vote to change any rule in the league as far as that goes. If there's problems, that are obvious problems, we just say, does everybody agree? And we'll let it go. But any big changes like scoring or lineup or rosters construction or taxi squads or in the IR, like we had to have an emergency thing for the COVID IR spots this year. We went to 10 instead of the normal 3 or 5 in every league. So that was something that kind of had to be implemented right away because nobody knew what was going to happen. But week after the Super Bowl, it's our first live league meeting, and I sit there and I say, okay, guys, I hand out the sheets that I printed up. Here's rule, let's go over rule number 1. Let's change. Let's see what. I didn't have it ready right now. I don't want to dig through my phone to find it, but we'll go through all. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 15 different changes, depending on how long the league's been around for, how much we have things adjusted, and we'll all vote on them. And once that's voted, I'll write in our rule books. I have a manifesto for my leagues because there's so much stuff that I have. Literally, it's like 7 pages long of. I should put it on here for my league rules for my next podcast, but. It is everything. It starts off with definitions, so everybody's on the same page. The tiebreakers, the roster construction, things about how to stop collusion, what punishments are going to happen if you get caught doing collusion. As far as league ejection or fines or reversal of trade. Reversal of trades really shouldn't happen, but if it's collusion, then it will. But my manifestos in every league are. Some people look at it and they're like, when the new league starts, they're like, what the hell? Where did you get this from? It's going to take me till next week. The next year starts to even read this stuff, but if you just take a paragraph or 1 or 2 sections at a time and digest it, after a while, it only takes a couple of days to look at them all, read through it all, and understand it. It's not that bad.
I love that you call it a manifesto, John. I think that's absolutely perfect.
It's
every place calls it bylaws or constitution or whatever. You just get out there and you tell it like it is. It's a freaking manifesto, okay?
I only call it that because everybody said, "What the hell? Am I supposed to read this manifesto?" I've heard it like 7 times already. And we started like our leagues back in the day was, I think 1997 was the first league that we were in, and there was no such thing as free agency. There was no such thing as you had to have your lineup at the commissioner's house at noon on Sunday. There was no such thing as free agency. And if your guy got hurt or didn't play or you found out, you got a 0 that week. You couldn't read, there's no online gaming or nothing like that. That's what it is. That's what it was. So I learned a lot every year. I'm like, oh, I like that idea. Let's go here. Let's go. When I started introducing Superflex to a league about, I don't know, like, what was it, 4 years ago or 5 years ago? Everybody laughed at me like, Superflex? What the hell are you talking about, Superflex? I'm not going to put this stupid shit in here. You already throwing enough stupid rules. So, but now it's like, how could we ever play without Superflex? I'm getting rid of all my leagues that aren't Superflex now. Things like that don't. People are, don't be afraid to, if it's your league and you're the commissioner, you always have to have 3 or 4 new ideas every year to kind of say, hey guys, I don't want the league to be stagnant. So let's do this, or let's add so-and-so. Let's put a bonus on, 50-yard receptions.
Do you ever just drop something because you want to do it? You don't even do the poll thing, or?
No, because everybody, believe me, I get called out. I couldn't even imagine what would happen.
What do you think you are, the commissioner?
You couldn't even imagine the things that if you don't follow everything by exactly the bylaws. And that's the cool thing about live leagues is before your initial draft, you send out the manifesto a couple weeks before the draft starts, and everybody, hopefully they read it. But the first day of the actual draft itself, it takes about a half hour to read through all the law, every article. I think there's 19 articles in the last, and there's sub articles in each one of them, but all 19 articles, we go through them article by article and talk about it. But it's awesome. The best thing in the world is when people call you out and they say, hey, in Article 12, Section B-7, it says right here that you did this and you didn't do it this week. So for having people in your league that know the rules is awesome. It's so, instead of getting caught at the end of the year, like what happened there? It says here in the rules. Every week somebody will say like, hey, you said that and that happened, or why does he get to, why does he traded too many fab dollars, or you only trade 100 fab dollars, and he traded 107. I'm like, well, where does it say that in the bylaws? It says unlimited. It doesn't say unlimited fab dollars. You only allowed 100 fab dollars. So why is he allowed to trade 107? Well, it doesn't say that either. Well, then you can't do it. Like it's a learning block on every different thing that happens. So I can never just add something or take something away without being harassed or beat up but be going to the drafts and going over all the rules and then having people know the rules is awesome.
Yep.
You have to have a lot of good league mates, a lot of good players. That's the other thing too. You do these live leagues. You can't just you're always going to have a handful of, some guys who invited that it's like, and I've kind of gotten rid of a couple.
Like who invited that guy?
Yeah, over the years, I've only kind of had to get rid of 1 or 2 guys, but it happens, just kind of too much. I hate it. A lot of these guys I've known since kindergarten, that there's guys I've known since first grade, second grade, all the way back then. That are in my leagues now still. And actually a lot of my leagues are like that, but there's a handful of guys that just kind of, it's almost like they're having a bad day at home or something, or taking it out on you about you did this, you did that. And it's just amazing the things you put up with until you're like, I'm done. If you keep it up and you're out, they just keep going and like, all right, that's it. I'm replacing you. And there's always, you have to have a waiting list for your teams either, because some guys just drop out, they get burned out, or they got a new job, they can't do it. So just make sure you have 2 or 3 guys that was on a waiting list in case something happens. I haven't had it happen to me yet, but unfortunately in a couple of actually I have. James the Brain died last year in our live league, home league for Twitter people. So I had to replace James the Brain. So that's one of the few situations where a waiting list is a good thing to have all the time. So
yeah, I agreed. I've got one going pretty much for the GOAT leagues, similar. And man, James the Brain. I tried to bust out the GOAT sound there. For some reason, it's not connected, but Yeah.
Yeah. But, you talk about like there's some things, that are just voting wise. There's problems that come up like allowing teams to tank. Like there's a situation when I started a brand new Dynasty league every year for the last 5 years in a row. And last year, somebody said right from the get go, hey, I'm just going to tank and he's got the entire 2021 round one on his team, 1 through 12. He's got every pick in the whole first round. So there's a lot of mixed emotions about why you shouldn't be allowed to tank. I've seen so many leagues, with infuriating moves that turned into be golden moves in the long run. It's your team. You do you. Are people worried that tanking is a faster way to the top? That's I don't understand it. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it.
For me, the only time I have an issue with it, I'm the same. I'm like, everyone do their own thing, do the way they like, unless there's like some pure corrosion going on. Or corrosion. Wow, there's my French.
Either way, it's
collusion. Unless there's some like serious collusion going on, you know what I mean? I'm kind of like, everyone do their own thing. The only problem I have is when somebody sets a lineup with guys that are like either injured or they're not playing or anything like that. Right. Like for me, I don't care what league I'm in. The first thing I do in every league every week, if I don't have time for waivers, time for trades or anything like that, is I make sure that I go into every one of my leagues and I set up my best lineup. I don't care where I am in the standings, if I'm in the playoffs, out of the playoffs. That's the one thing that I feel like I owe to the league is to put in my best lineup every week. And that's kind of something that annoys me is if guys just put in guys that are injured or whatever. Like, it's kind of like, okay, you can tank, but you don't have to make it so obvious. Like there's a way to do it without being like,
right.
Oh,
You owe the rest of the league, I think, putting in your best lineup, because the thing is there are people who are playing for the playoffs, and if you put in your best lineup in week 1 against, one of the favorites, and then in week 10 you realize you're totally dead in the water and you put in this terrible lineup against the other favorite, how fair is that? You might determine, somebody who gets a bye in the playoffs versus somebody who doesn't. So to me, if you want to tank, fine, tank, but at least put in your best lineup. Don't tank in a way that really affects the integrity of the league or whatever.
I have a couple buffering situations that stop that in my leagues now that I've adapted to. I have what we do is you get charged fines for leaving players in there are not playing or on IR or are hurt or are out. So we'll get a $5 fine. It escalates. If it happens second time, it's a $10 fine. It's $15. It all goes towards the league party anyway. So hey, do whatever you want. But on top of that, we also have situations where we have at our live draft, in our live rookie draft every year, I have a bingo ball machine with balls in there from 1 to 100. And what happens is the people with the max points for on sleeper, not the points for the team, the max points for. That means if you put nobody in your lineup, the computer would generate a max points for. It would simulate your best quarterback, even though you had, So if people don't understand what max points for is, that's it would automatically say this is what you would have had if the computer put in your whole
optimal
lineup. Players. Yes. So out of those, whoever has the most optimal lineup, the first place team gets like 36 balls, the second place team gets like 24 balls, and third place team gets some. So it's awesome at the party. Everybody loves it. We keep everything rolling with that, and that really kind of. I'm not going to say it stops the whole, process of tanking, but it makes it where, hey, if you tank, you're not guaranteed the 101. A lottery ball system is a great way to do that.
Yep, that is a good way. One I've heard of, I've never tried, but I've always been interested to try it. Is a league where whoever is the first to declare that they're tanking gets the 101. Whoever is the second to declare it gets the 102. So if you want to go into week 1 and you want to say, you know what, I'm tanking, and you want the 101, you got the 101. But then, then you can put in your best lineup. You can do, everything you want. You could end up 12-2, but you're not getting in the playoffs. Oh, you have the 101. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, To me, that would be an interesting way to try to run it. I don't know how that would work out in actual fact. It sounds intriguing to me, but it's one of those things where it'd be a heck of a lot of fun, where you could just, you have to decide, like the first person to decide, what, my team sucks. I'm just going to say I'm taking, and but then that gives all those teams the freedom to go ahead and put in their best lineup, and they don't have to worry about winning too many games or scoring too many points or anything else. They can just say, oh, I've already locked in the 101 or the 103 or whatever it is.
Yeah, but what if you already have a great team and you say, hey, I'm tanking? Even though your team's awesome, you get the 101 on top of having a good team, but you miss the playoffs for 1 year?
But, yeah, I mean, you've given up that year. I mean, you have a great team right now. I mean, to me, that would be incredibly dumb to do, because you know what?
Yeah.
Your team can be great this year, and you can say, you know what? I got a great team this year. How many times have we seen a team that's spectacular 1 year just end up completely folded, splintered, mutilated, everything else, the following year? You're like, you're thinking this team is a juggernaut. This team is going to win for the next 3 years straight. And all of a sudden they're like struggling to even make the playoffs the next year.
Yeah, I lost that championship to a guy by 5 points. He had Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson. His receivers were, but everybody on his team got hurt this year, and he won like one game by like 3 points the entire season. Where he lost like one game by like 5 points all last year. He smoked everyone.
Yep. Exactly.
So that would be a good year for that kind of rule. Like, hey, I'm tanking, man. Everybody's already out. I'm done. It is what it is. So that would be cool.
Yep. So I don't know. I've never tried it. I'm not necessarily out here recommending it, saying that's what you should do or anything. But I do think it would be fun to have a league like that and just see how it works out.
Yeah, everyone has their own strategy and their own vision, and I don't get why some people feel the need to tell other league members what to do. As far just remember, the tanking is not always a foolproof strategy. How many guys do you know that sold off the pretty good players and for first round picks, and they end up with N'Keal Harry and JJ Arcega-Whiteside and Kerryon Johnson and
what do you mean? N'Keal Harry's going to break out this year, man?
Yeah,
I hope so, but it was a 101 or a 102 pick 2 years ago that you just you've been sitting on for 2 years. Oh, and according to Peter Howard, that's if you got a guy that's going to sit around for a year or two, his chances of breaking out are very minimal, real small right now. So
yep.
All right.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to end up with Bishop Sankey.
What a dirty name. I almost picked him as the last pick in that first best ball just for jokes.
Oh my God.
Because I saw his name. I was scrolling down and I was like, that is such a dirty name. Imagine you picked him 101.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Before we keep going and get into, wrap up the commish stuff after this and get into the eval, but we've got some really big news. The FFPC, they've been big supporters of the show. We're big supporters of them. And again, we're going to re-up it for the 2021 season. Guys, tune in. Obviously, it's the best site to play fantasy. Right now, the best balls, there's nowhere else you can play best balls, especially this fun, this many options, live, slow, 2 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour. I don't know if there's 4 hour, but I know there's 2 hours and 6 hours, $35, $77, $250, super flex, 1 QB, slims that are 20 deep, 28 deep are the usual ones, tight end premium. It's just a ton of fun, man, on the FFPC, myffpc.com. If you're not signed up, you don't have an account yet, DM at Goat District. I'll send you a link so you can sign up and you'll get a bonus on your first deposit. But Dan, anything to add, man? I mean, is there any site right now on your browser that's popping up more than the FFPC?
No, not right now. I mean, obviously the FFPC is got the only best balls running. If you're wanting to draft for 2021, the FFPC is, as far as I know, the only place you can go as far as, managed sites. Of course, you can do whatever you want with your friends. And, if you can find 12 friends to get together, but it's a whole lot easier on the FFPC, where they have a giant pool of people to draw from. And the odds are you're going to find a lot better competition there. If you want to make yourself a sharper drafter, the FFPC is the place to do it. There are places where you can win money a little bit easier, but then the FFPC, you can still definitely win a ton of cash there, but you're gonna work a little bit harder to do it. And that's not a bad thing in my mind, because that's going to make you better for every single league you enter.
Well, you're playing against the best, right? And
Absolutely.
It's like they say, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that's kind of how I feel like that 77 we did. It's not that I feel like I'm going in with an edge, but I feel like if I can do well against those guys, I can do, that means my game is stepped up from last season. That's kind of what the test I like to put it up against. But if you think you're good, whether you're winning your home league, whether it's live or online or any of that stuff, just go test it up on the FFPC. And guys, there's $35 ones. There's all kinds of levels that you can play on. But go sign up, check it out. John, I'm going to go back to you. Wrap up the commish if you have anything else to add, and then we'll jump into this roster you've got for us.
Yeah, as the time goes on, we'll talk more about trade deadlines, IR spots, playoff bracket construction, who gets in, points for, max point for situations, and little things to keep people involved, like just making a little tab in your message board, especially on Sleeper. Sleeper's real good about this stuff. Putting everybody's phone number on the message board, pinning at the top of the message board so everybody can contact each other via text message. Most of the people in my leagues know their phone numbers, each other's phone numbers anyway, but just things like that, so people can, instead of just doing messages on Sleeper or MFL or any other site, they can actually talk to each other on a phone call or a text message, and they'll see it all the time. Instead of some people turn notifications off or don't get them, or their phone's silent, they'll be able to see them a lot easier instead of logging in the site. And then the live drafts. I tell you how to start a live draft. Anything you want, any kind of information about how to start it up, or any secrets or how to do it, or what you need to do it, or anything I've done or learned from my experiences. Those are all things we'll talk about in the next, hopefully, for a long time on this podcast. So
awesome, man. We're excited for it. I know Fantasyland is excited for it. Hopefully you guys all tune in every other week, so 2 weeks from now, you guys will see that on your podcast platform, on the YouTube channel. But John, we're going to do some evals right now. We're going to take specific rosters. You've got one that one of your league mates sent out to you to evaluate. Why don't you explain to the listeners what exactly you're doing with these rosters and what we're going to be doing today?
Yeah, this is for people that this is from a league that just started last year. We're going in our second year right now. It's my buddy Sean Roach, who's always been a redraft guy. He got into Dynasty last year, absolutely loves it. And when I came up with this idea of the roster evaluations, I put on my message board who wants to have their team evaluated, and kind of looked and see recommendations about trading, about cutting, keep, trade, sell, cut guys, what you could get for them, what to trade for. So everybody jumped at the opportunity, and the first league I asked to was they had 9 people instantaneously that wanted their team evaluated. So anybody who wants their team evaluated, it's inbox me, email Goat District to email, and get your team out there. I'll put it on Twitter. Always just say, hey, look at my team. I'll be more than happy to comb through it all. I'll have guests on here every other week saying like, hey, this is what I would recommend. It's not always be just my point of view. It'll be a handful of discussion, maybe 1 or 2 other guys on here that are going through that saying, oh, I would rather do this, or this is another option, or we could do this also. So this guy, Sean Roach's team that we're going to show you in a minute, he's new. He made a couple changes. He traded some players. He traded most of his draft picks away to get some of the guys that he really liked. And this is where his team ended up at the end of year 1. And he's kind of like, hey, where should I go from here? I'm new to Dynasty. I'm kind of looking for some little bit of a message, or a little, how do you call it? He wants a little bit of input on what he should do as far as improving his team for the future. So I'm looking for you guys to kind of talk to me, and we'll go through each position: the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, and kind of see who you should keep, trade, hold, and cut, and what he could possibly look forward to getting for them in the future. So this is his team.
Yeah, I was going to say, for those who weren't watching right now, at quarterback, you got the GOAT.
Oh, yes.
I mean, he's kind of the, what's like a baby goat? What do you call that? I should know that.
You should know that.
Dan, how the fuck do I not know that?
I don't think we can call Mahomes a baby goat. He's full grown ass goat.
Damn, he's
good. So good.
He's taking over the goat herd.
Yeah. Brady is just an old goat. when Mahomes is the GOAT anymore.
All right. So you got Mahomes at QB. You got my boy Miles Sanders. What's up? At running back, Jamal Williams, Robert Woods, Bobby Woods, one of those undervalued receivers, Corey Davis, one of those first rounders that you were let down if you drafted at the 101, Alan Lazard, and then you got Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins. You got a pure Raven stack here with Marquise Brown, CEH, of course, the creme de la creme, Andrew Luck, Marcus Mariota, Brandon Allen. So just going down here, I'll just name the ones that are kind of relevant. I'm guessing this is super flex. You got Trubisky, Wolford, who as of today supposedly will be fighting for a starting job, Daniel Jones, Dan's favorite quarterback, the Gardner Minshew. Wow, a lot of quarterbacks on here. Chad Henne.
Yes.
Then Freeman.
Is this a super flex league?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Oh, it's gotta be.
So we got 30.
I was going to say
we got 30-man rosters, 12 teams. So yeah.
Even so, with this being super flex, he's got to dump a couple of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's got way too many, man. Because what happens is when you have I went to both extremes. So initially I was like, wait on quarterback and super flex, all that kind of stuff. Then John Hogue came into my life and he completely took me to the other dark side. Now I'm kind of in the middle where if I can get guys like Brissett and those like depth quarterback guys for cheap in a deal, I'll do it just because I like the depth. But dude, he's got like way too many quarterbacks. And what happens is when you have this many is it's taken away from your skill position guys, like your running backs and your wide receiver. And then you miss up on guys that can pop that you get for cheap.
Right. Exactly. Like Luck, I mean, let's be honest. He's not coming back. He's not.
He's not. Come on, Dan.
We talking about Dan.
I'm sorry. I'm
the only NFL jersey I have in my
the hard cold truths here. Luck is not coming back. I held out hope for a year, but I mean, honestly, if he didn't come back to the Patriots in 2020, he's not coming back to anything. Brandon Allen, another one. You can just, we've got Burrow there, and you don't have to,
Are we
even
sure
if Burrow doesn't start for the first couple weeks, how much is Brandon Allen going to do when you have Patrick Mahomes, when some of these other guys, you're realistically never going to start a Brandon Allen. If you want to do something with Brandon Allen, you go find the Burrow owner and you say, hey, I got Brandon out. What about a third rounder? Something like that.
Out of a 30-team league, he's got 9 quarterbacks: Mahomes, Daniel Jones, Trubisky, Gardner Minshew, Marcus Mariota, Brandon Allen, Wolford, Chad Henne, and Andrew Luck. So right off the bat, you could probably drop Chad Henne. You'd probably drop Andrew Luck.
Right. Because the thing is, you're probably, even though Henne is Mahomes' direct backup, you're probably going to pivot to one of these other guys rather than going to Henne. Right.
Right.
So having your own backup here is one of those things where it's like it's not really doing you that much good. Minshew, much as I love him, the moment that Jacksonville drafts, Trevor Lawrence, Minshew is not going to be worth that much to you. You're going to want to offer him to the guy who has Trevor Lawrence rather than hanging on to him yourself.
I guess this offseason, because the way we have it in this league is there's the NFL draft will come, and then a month after that we'll have our rookie draft, and then a month after that we'll have our we'll start free agency, or a month after that we'll have our get down to 30-man rosters, and then 2 weeks after that free agency will start. So I wouldn't just drop Minshew yet, just in case he gets.
No, I wouldn't drop him, but this is a guy you can, after that rookie draft. You trade him. You trade him to the guy who has Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, right. Or God only know what happens if Minshew somehow gets a job somewhere as a starter. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know.
It's unlikely. I definitely hang on to him for now. But yeah, you got to look towards thinning out the herd at quarterback a little bit so you can get some more flyers at other positions.
Yeah, when the 30-man rosters are cut down, he's definitely someone you're going to have to get rid of.
I like what you're saying, Dan, because it's same with Mariota, right? Like, go to the car owner. And
right.
Then, I don't know if the contract's saying something.
Now Mariota is somebody I might actually hang on to because Carr's got such a cuttable contract. It's only going to cost the Raiders $2 million in dead cap to cut Carr.
So the only reason he has Mariota on this team is because for 1 week I had to drop Mariota to pick up a running back real fast, and this guy swung right in there. I love Mariota. Like Mariota, if I was a girl, I'd marry the guy. He's my. But of course, he saw me drop him. And he knows how much I like him, so he picked him up, and now he's not going to trade him unless I give him 2 firsts for him on purpose. But
I'm more referring. So sorry, Dan, let me just really quick. So one strategy I'll do is I'll go look at like a Minshew, like who's he going to back up? Like you said, right? Offer it to whoever's going to take that Trevor Lawrence pick or whoever is the QB1 and you have his backup. If I go look at that roster and I'm looking at all the other pieces he has, and that's where I'm looking, okay, where can I put a deal together where I throw in, Mariota to the car owner to kind of, that's the overvalue. That's where he puts it in a calculator. And by me putting in Mariota, now it looks like he's getting the way better end of the deal, but I get my guy. That's kind of the approach I would take there.
Right. Exactly. And, especially when you're talking about 30-man rosters, a lot of the quarterbacks backups are going to be rostered. Mm-hmm. So people are going to be naturally looking just, this guy here, he has Henne as a backup for Mahomes, right? And that's going to be a natural thing for everybody to do. And, but the thing is with Mariota, he's worth hanging on to right now just for himself because we have Derek Carr. His 2021 cap number is $22.1 million. His dead cap number is $2.5 million. When you see something like that, you're going, okay, this allows Oakland to be players in the quarterback market because they can trade Carr because $22.1 million is not like an excessive amount for a quarterback, but they can also cut him because $2.5 million dead cap is basically nothing. Compared to 22.1, I mean, they'd save almost $20 million just by cutting Carr. Not that Oakland necessarily needs to save that money, but they could save that money and they could put it into other resources, or they could roll it over to next year's cap or whatever they want to do. So Oakland has a lot of flexibility at quarterback, so it makes sense to hang on to their backup. John Wofford is a backup that it makes sense to hang on for a completely different reason, because the Rams are so obviously frustrated with Goff, but with his cap number is $34.6 million, his dead cap number is $65.5 million. So he's basically, they cannot cut him.
Right.
It would cost them double what his cap number is right now to cut him. To try to trade a quarterback like Jared Goff with a $34.6 million cap number, there's no team in the NFL that's going to take on that number for a quarterback like Goff.
Especially for Goff.
Yeah, there's just no sense in doing that. So you're hearing the Rams saying we're going to have an open competition between Jared Goff and John Wofford. Well, that's what you want to hear. If you got Wofford, you hang on to him, right? So. There's guys like that you're going to definitely want to hang on to. Trubisky, is he going to start in Chicago? I don't know. But you look at the quarterback landscape, he could end up starting somewhere, so he's definitely worth hanging on to. So he's got a lot of good possibilities here, and he should hang on to several of them, but trying to hang on to all of them is a little bit too much.
I could easily cut 3 guys on this team, Brandon Allen, Chad Henne, and Andrew Luck, but that still leaves him with 6 quarterbacks, which isn't terrible. But
then he can take some of those guys like Daniel Jones or, whoever. He can trade them away too, and bolster up other positions. Yeah. Yeah.
I would personally, I'm looking at this roster and I'm going into the reserves here with Damian Harris, Henderson, Homer, and I always look like, who are my pillars? Who am I building this roster around? And I'm looking at the running back position. I don't see anything there. which is not usually a spot that I'll start. But the quarterbacks, like you said, he's got it's like almost like an overkill with regards to the quarterbacks. He's got Jamal Williams as a starter at running back. Other like just the fact that he's got that in there. CH obviously is in there in his flex, but there's not much at running back. There's not much in the skill position. So I would use the fact that he's got all these quarterbacks. And we talked about ways of, maybe you go to the Goff owner and especially after the news that dropped today, where Walford is going to be fighting Goff for that starting position. I would definitely go try to move, Walford and pair him up with something and try to get myself is there draft picks on this roster, John, that I'm not seeing?
Oh, you know what? There are. If I go to sleep, I can tell you what.
When I scroll down, because I was going to say, what I would do is I would maybe pair, the first thing you want to do is this team is not a contender, right? Let's face it. He doesn't have studs that I can see at any position other than Mahomes, unless I'm wrong here. Am I wrong there, John?
Well, I think that,
he's got Andrews.
I take it back. He's got Dobbins, Andrews, and
Dobbins.
Sanders. He's all right at running back.
Yeah, this running back position, like we talked about the quarterback position before too. He's got Dobbins, Sanders, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamal Williams, which God knows what's going to happen if Aaron Jones is gone. He's got Damian Harris, who hasn't produced but has a couple opportunities. You never know what's going to happen in New England. Darrell Henderson from the Rams.
He's good at running back. He's going to run. It's receiver.
Receiver is bad. Yeah. Receiver. So, but he just traded away Michael Thomas to get Daniel Jones, which it was kind of a shocker. But yeah, you heard me right.
Why did he do that?
You know what? Michael Thomas is going to be losing Drew Brees. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him, where he's going to go, what's going on. He's new to Dynasty. He probably still has a little bit of a redraft mentality, but I think he feels a lot more secure with having his quarterback situation, in tune. And he figured that Saquon's coming back. The Giants are going to have a much well-rounded roster with better offensive line, more tools. They're going to probably draft out Kyle Pitts in the draft. He's probably thinking that Daniel Jones is going to improve a little bit. And let's get to this whole year with injuries. He doesn't want an older version of Michael Thomas that's going to be hurt a lot or he started to be pouty for a little bit. He doesn't want to have a lot of problems. He definitely that was a kind of we all kind of ridiculed him on the draft board or on the message board, but we thought that was a crazy move. But it's his team. You never know in 2 years from now what happens with Michael Thomas, what happens with Daniel Jones. But we all thought it was kind of a huge overpay to
I just think it's a bad time to sell Michael Thomas. That's a legit piece. That's a piece that's going in the first 2 rounds of a startup.
Yeah.
For me, I'm moving a piece like that when it's peaking. And yeah, because of the uncertainty, if anything, I'm buying Michael Thomas wherever I can at a discount.
Right.
Or I'm holding him.
And like JD and I always talk about, best ball kind of informs dynasty kind of informs best ball a little bit. Mm-hmm. The fact that I'm sitting in this league with some serious sharks, and I picked up Michael Thomas at the 3.8 in a best ball. The 3.8 in a best ball. That's crazy to me, but that tells me exactly where people's valuation is on Michael Thomas right now, and that's about as low as you're ever going to see. And so that tells you that's not a good time to be selling Michael Thomas. If he's going in the 3rd round in best balls ever, let alone regularly, if he even goes in the 2nd round of best balls, that tells you. If
anything, the uncertainty at quarterback is the reason that you buy him.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, generally speaking, I have a little bit more insight on this league, and I probably shouldn't have, talked about trades that happened before, or, why he got Daniel Jones. We're looking at his team right now and kind of seeing where he, not critiquing the moves he made in the past. So, but he does have Daniel Jones, and that's why he's a little bit weak at receiver right now. But on the running back situation, he's got Travis Homer, Royce Freeman. I loved Royce Freeman the last couple of years. I wish he had an opportunity somewhere else, but he's just not getting it. Darrell Williams from Kansas City, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Benny Snell is someone, I don't think he's going to do anything. I think Pittsburgh's going to bring in a running back to kind of get rid of all that running back rotation thing. Darwin Thompson, he's definitely somebody that I'd cut. Darrington Evans, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but he's not getting any touches anytime soon. So he's got a handful of guys he can definitely cut on that team or trade for late draft picks or start, put a couple of these guys together for maybe a late third or early fourth round pick.
Let me ask you guys this. Dan, he's not a contender right now with this roster.
He actually made the playoffs.
He's set at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if he made the playoffs. He's not a contender because his receivers are not competing with a team that's stacked at receiver. But he's solid at other positions.
Right.
So to me, I'm always looking which pieces are movable. So Mahomes obviously movable. Sanders, Bobby Woods never going to get the value that you want back. Andrews didn't have the best season. Dobbins, there's a hype there. So maybe there's Dobbins, but I kind of like his running back core. My question is this: if I'm looking at this roster, if I'm taking it over as an orphan, I feel like the first move I'm making is moving Mahomes.
It's possible, but I mean, the other thing is Mahomes is such a great piece to build around.
Yeah. What if you can pivot to like a Burrows or like a piece that
right.
has the same potential?
You got to explore it. You owe yourself to explore moving Mahomes.
I would send out trade offers that were ridiculously overpays, and that's all I would send out right now, just in case somebody took it. But I would never, I would rather have almost a guaranteed 30 to 35 points from. First of all, everybody's rules are different. Also, we have tons of bonuses. It's 5-point passing touchdown, 2-point interception. We have the running bonuses for 100 yards, which Mahomes doesn't really fit that category too often, hardly ever actually. But every yard rushing that he gets, a lot of rushing yards. Sometimes some games he also has. There's passing bonuses for long touchdowns. Passing bonuses 300, 400, 500 yard passings. So someone like Mahomes in a multi-tiered points league is almost invaluable. That's just, I don't know what I'd ever want to give. I wouldn't want 3 or 4 guys who score 15 to 20 points a week compared to one guy that scores 45 or 35 or 40. I don't think I could ever get rid of Mahomes when I had that kind of scoring system.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I own Mahomes in a lot of one quarterback leagues, and I think that he's very, very valuable in the one quarterback leagues. In the 2 quarterback leagues, he's still got a lot of value. Diminishes him just a little bit, but still not enough that, he's not an asset you want to build around. What I look at is you've got Andrews, Dobbins, and Brown, right? And, so you're invested in 3 pieces of the Baltimore offense, which, if it's running like it did in 2019, that could be a good thing. But Dobbins is kind of getting squeezed from a lot of different directions. He's somebody I think that the general public is very high on right now. And I think they're probably a little bit over exuberant on him. And so Dobbins is a piece I would definitely be looking to move right now, because I think you could probably get some premium offers for him. And you're still very well bought into the Ravens offense with Andrews and Brown. And honestly, even if you wanted to move Andrews, this is a 1.75 per reception.
Is it tight end premium?
Yeah, TIP, tight end premium 1.75. Yes.
Okay. And Andrews in a tight end premium that goes 1.75 per reception is probably a little bit less value than what what people think he is, because his value is not so much in the receptions. It's the fact that he gets a lot of long receptions. He gets a lot of touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So in a tight end premium that overcounts the receptions, you want somebody who's catching a ton of passes, whereas Andrews is more like a, 3, 4, or 5 reception a week kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, JD, what would you talk about get rid of Mahomes. If you were to trade Mahomes away, let's just say some kind of package, who would you expect to get back for the premier flagship quarterback of the NFL in return?
Well, for me, I like Dan's move with Dobbins. I think Dobbins and Mahomes are really because the other pieces are all at their low point. Like Sanders is not really at a high point right now. He's not,
right.
he's worth more than he is on the market. Andrews, again, the same, didn't have the best season. maybe, finish off a bit stronger. But I think Dan nailed it with Dobbins, because even Marquise Brown, he's not a hot commodity right now. I think Dobbins, Mahomes are really the two pieces. And because it's super flex, the only way I'm moving Mahomes is if I get like a legit pivot. And for me, that means I'm getting another guy that I consider like a potential top 5 quarterbacks in the next 3 to 5. So, whether that's Herbert at Cleveland or Burrows or one of those, exactly, to get one of those back and then something with it for Mahomes. Yeah. And then it's the same with Dobbins. Because like Dan said, I traded my Dobbins away in the season because I wanted to contend. He's one of those guys where, I don't know if you guys remember Aaron Jones like a few years ago, where the hype was way bigger than what he was producing or giving you when he was on your roster. And I feel like Dobbins is, like Dan said, like the hype is there, so you could probably move in, but I would want to pivot. Maybe you pivot to like I don't know if you could pull off like a Swift, or you go down a bit and maybe people think Hunt is.
What about
old.
a Gibson?
A Gibson, Gibson's beautiful, but I think people value Gibson
Yeah, he's at my team.
At this point.
He's not getting him. He's on my team.
They're in the same. There you go, and they're going in the same rounds, like in best balls, right? So, for me, I feel like Dobbins, you kind of got to go, like, if you believe in Montgomery continuing, in the new year, maybe you go Montgomery plus, Kareem Hunt is a guy. Shout out to the Shiva in these best balls, where he's not sexy. He's over that 20. He's at the 25 hill that we keep talking about, the running back position, but he's an RB1, man. He gives you those double digits every week. He's dependable. He's got a good floor, and the threads are not as worn out because of his situation in Cleveland. So maybe
if you could get Dobbins for like, or sell Dobbins for like Hunt and Debo, would you do that?
All day, especially with the noise of Stafford going to San Fran, or San Fran even in the hunt for one of these quarterbacks. Right. For sure I would.
Yeah, especially Debo with his skill set after catching the ball and the yards after catch with that guy. Yeah, that's a huge grab.
And he's down right now in value. I mean, Debo's somebody that he spent most of the year injured, and
everybody's in love with Brandon Ayuk right now. Yeah, so
Miles Sanders and Debo Samuel, those are my boys right there, man, and they're both at a low value right now. So go out there and get them.
Yeah, I mean, and his wide receiver core, Hollywood Brown, Henry Ruggs, again, these are all low guys right now who are not panning out. KJ Hamler is okay, but no, Colin Johnson's a kind of a offseason sweetheart right now. Gandy Golden, if they get a quarterback there, you never know what could happen with him. Lazard is supposed to be, could be the number 2 if I'm sure Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere, but Lazard is turning a pretty good season around. They're spreading the ball a little bit more than I'd like as far as that goes. Lazard dropped the pass, but he made up for it later in the playoffs. But they're against the Bears anyway. He's someone that could be a number 2 in Green Bay if they don't bring anybody else in, which I'm not sure they will with the way these guys are really kind of catching on. But he's got a couple young guys. He definitely needs one true blue number 1 wide receiver on this team. Yeah, to go with a lot of these complement guys.
Right. Yeah.
Another idea, just because for me, Marquise Brown, like, they need to bring someone else as the true wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. I don't think Marquise Brown has shown enough. Yeah. He's improved, and the second half of last season was good enough, I think, for you to pair up Marquise Brown with, whether that's a draft pick or another nice piece, like a decent piece with upside, and maybe you go to the Lamar owner, and whether you pair up Brown and Dobbins or Brown with something else of value, and you go to that Lamar owner or to someone who needs a receiver depth or something like that, and you get yourself the stud.
Do you honestly think bringing in I know that Diggs made Josh Allen look like a hero this year, but do you think that bringing in a receiver with the style of play that Lamar Jackson has is going to improve that team? Because he just seems to hold on to the ball so long.
I could see a more experienced receiver giving him the next level that he needs, whereas Brown is still trying to figure himself out, let alone help Lamar get his passing game to the next level.
Yeah, what I always I thought in my back of my head would be a great fit on that team would be someone like Keenan Allen, who's not a speedster, but he cuts back and forth in the field. A guy like that runs perfect routes and then can make things happen, if he's covered or, to be on the same page with Lamar Jackson. A guy like that would be awesome. But, that's I don't think bringing in some big
imagine it does Bryant in his prime. I mean,
yeah,
that would be the perfect kind of receiver to help out.
Someone not too fast, a big guy who can,
somebody who's just who wins the contested balls, who is just a red zone.
If we're in fantasy land, can I bring it?
Is Juju going there or something? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, Juju would be a great fit. Honest to God, Juju would be a great fit in Baltimore.
Could you imagine Calvin Johnson or someone like that in this team like now?
Yeah, well, I mean, Calvin Johnson makes anybody look good. Let's be real. But yeah, I mean, there are receivers like that out there. DeAndre Hopkins. Guys like obviously these aren't guys that are available.
Yeah, right.
But if you look at who is available, let me take a quick look at free agent wide receivers here. And Allen Robinson would definitely.
Oh wow! Yeah,
nice one.
It would definitely help out a lot.
Let's go get that before he pops.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be a great fit right there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that would be one of the best fits that I can find. Juju would be a great fit.
What if he could turn around an old, banged up version of the Eagles receiver that was on the Bears for a bunch of years? I don't know why his name's slipping my head. He's on the Eagles right now, but he's always hurt. He was always
Alshon Jeffrey. Yeah,
Alshon Jeffrey. He's another big receiver that maybe could, if he stopped getting hurt, have a resurgence because he's a go up and get him kind of guy too.
Yep. Chris Godwin would be another good fit. I mean, yeah. So there are some things that could fix Lamar Jackson, but kind of getting back to this guy's roster.
Yeah,
I think. Well,
remember 45 minutes.
We have a tendency to sometimes go out and chase rabbits. It's all right. But
yes.
I do think Dobbins is really movable on this roster. I do think Andrews is movable because I think, if you could pivot to a guy like a Logan Thomas and get a Logan Thomas plus for Andrews, it would be a great way to go. The guys you probably don't want to move, Edwards-Helaire because his value is just too depressed right now. Marquise Brown, it's bounced back a little bit, but I'm still not sure if he's somebody you want to move. Lazard is somebody whose value could improve going forward. Jamal Williams, I would definitely hang on to just because, if it's the AJ Williams show and they do sign Jamal to a small contract, I think he's going to have a significant role in that offense. And if AJ Dillon gets hurt or something, Jamal Williams could be dynamite. So he's somebody to hang on to. You probably want to be hanging on to Damian Harris. I've got a lot of hope for Damian Harris in the coming year. Henderson, another good guy to hang on to. Guys like Darrington Evans, he's a guy that, is probably going to be worth nothing. And if Derrick Henry gets hurt, he's going to be worth a lot. So he's worth hanging on to, but if you can move, if somebody still believes in Ruggs, move him. Yeah.
What can you get for Ruggs now? Because everybody hates him.
It's tough.
That's when you hold.
Yeah. It's tough right now. He's probably going to be somebody who's better to move in season. If he starts off with, like 2 really big weeks or something like that, you just want to get out there and sell.
Yeah, right.
I think it depends on Aguilar, right? If Aguilar comes back, then it's going to hurt him. But if Aguilar goes somewhere else, then I think Ruggs' value goes up a bit, takes a bit of a.
Yeah. And Ruggs just being a second season will probably help as well. But, he was never at Alabama. He was never a big market share guy. And it's turning out to be the same way in the pros.
Yeah, he needs a tight end here, too. Andrews and Schultz aren't going to cut the mustard on, Andrews is definitely a starter every week. But like you said, he needs to get somebody a little bit younger that catches more passes and, really takes advantage of that tight end premium. And Dalton Schultz isn't going to do that. It's somebody else that probably, you could probably get rid of. But if he can get, maybe 2 younger tight ends, you're not going to get an Irv Smith or, I don't know if Gesicki's considered Gesicki and some picks maybe for Mark Andrews or somebody who catches a couple more balls. I mean, Gesicki might be in the same boat as Mark Andrews. So, yeah.
Again, I come back to Logan Thomas. I think he's somebody who can get considerably cheaper.
He's already 29 years old, though, right?
It doesn't matter. Tight end age does not matter. I mean, 29 at tight end is like 25 at wide receiver.
Best move I made all season in the FFPC was sending Mo Ali Cox and a 2021 late second for Mr. Logan Thomas in the FFPC when Kittle got hurt, and that
straight
to the cup.
Savage thievery right there.
Sometimes he just
take it and run. I got rid of Logan Thomas in a couple leagues this year. And it was a terrible mistake. One of those ones you go back and
what's funny, Dan? As much as he helped me that much, I still, when somebody picked him in the first best ball, I was like, fuck. I totally forgot about Logan Thomas because he's like you said, ADPs aren't set, right? So he's
actually a fairly ridiculous athlete.
He's awesome. He was a quarterback. Dude, he was a quarterback. Yes. Yeah, look up his rookie cards, man. They're all him in Arizona with the ball. Fucking,
Yep, exactly. So he thinks like a quarterback. And if you have a tight end who can think like a quarterback, that's a good thing.
Who's the best coach on a roster? The backup quarterback.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it's the same thing that's Logan Thomas, man.
Who always becomes the coaches, the backup quarterbacks, Doug Peterson. Guys like that. I mean, those guys are constant. Josh McCown got serious consideration in Houston as the head coach.
Work at Zach Ertz end up, or like a Austin Hooper or Gesicki or Tyler Higbee or something. Like these are guys that maybe he could be targeting. OJ Howard, never know what's going to happen. And Jonnu Smith, who's underrated.
Why are you guys talking about all my sleeper tight ends in these FFPC best ball? Next thing you'd be talking about Njoku, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, there's some interesting free agent tight ends right now. Hunter Henry is a great one. You've got
I remember, Dan, we were talking earlier, one of my biggest moves, I think I gave away like 65% of my FFPC roster for Devontae Adams and Hunter Henry a few years ago, the team that I'm talking about. And it was like, we talked about overpays earlier, and it was the biggest overplay. I literally gave away like a chunk of my roster. Like I had like barely any guys left on my roster, but I really wanted those guys. And hey, man, Adams took me to the promised land. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Get your guy, people. Get your guy.
Get your guys.
Yep. And Gerald Everett. I mean, he was a highly rated prospect.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he was supposed to be the next Jordan Reed.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
He's supposed to be McVay's Jordan Reed.
Yep. These guys are going to be on the move.
And Higbee's a little sleeper, BB.
Yeah, because Higbee is no longer going to have Everett.
Right.
Yep. Right. And are all three coming back this year? When we're talking Cup, Woods.
Cup should be back. Woods should be back. I mean, unless they cut one of them for cap reasons. But yeah, you should have Cup, Woods, and Higbee back. You're going to lose Josh Reynolds. They don't plan to re-sign him. They're just going to let Van Jefferson take over. They do have another tight end in who's a little bit of an up-and-comer in LA. I forget what his name is, but he's like shown minor flashes, I guess I would say. But still, I think Higbee is going to be a much, much better play in 2021 than he was in 2020.
All right, guys, before we close this thing out, if anyone's wondering that noise in the background, I had to turn the heater back on, man. If you're watching, I got my hoodie. It's freezing in here. My heater died on me about a week ago, and I'm trying to replace it without spending $5,000. But we talk about it often, Dan. I'm going to throw it on the screen right now. Viridian Global.
Yes.
They just restocked the whole inventory. I know before the holidays it was a little frustrating. We tried to do some things and the stock was a little light, but our boy Will went out there, got a new manufacturer, a new supplier, a new provider, and we're dropping some good stuff, Dan. We've got this this championship shirt right here. So if you won your ship, like all three of us did in 2020, and you want to flex that thing, so you've got a golden goat on the front, and on the back, you've got the crown with the year, and we'll try to drop a different version every year. You've got the champ, the number one, the 112, and AKA the GOAT. So that's a long sleeve tee that we dropped. We've got Toques, which you can see on the screen right now. Beanies, we got gray, black, white. You got pom-poms, no pom-poms. We got t-shirts.
For the non-Canadians, a toque is a stocking cap. Okay.
Dan's always my translator whenever I say something that's not like American.
No, I totally get what a toque is, but I'm in southern Northwest Ontario here, so
it's the metric system conversion of half.
that was giving us a whole lesson on measurements and the raindrops and all kinds of stuff. But no, man, check out Viridian Global. Look, they've got over 20 brands right now. They are just taking everyone in Fantasyland that you're interested in, that you listen to, and they're dropping that shit into products that you can wear and buy. And if you want your own GOAT gear, especially if you want a league this year, go check it out at Viridian Global /collections/GOAT District. Thank you, Will, for simplifying that for us. And you'll find all that goodness on there, man. John, I'm going to go back to you. Anything you want to add on the tail end of this roster eval or anything else with regards to what you've got coming for Fantasyland in this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a little sneak preview of kind of how I want things to go. We'll won't kind of go off the beaten path so much, hopefully, in the future. But I want to talk about some commissioner rules, some things that anybody has questions about in their leagues. How do you implement rules? What does a rule book look like? How does as far as what your vision is of what you want your rules to look like in case you want to start a league, how to implement anything, how to make anything happen. And then I'd like that to be like the first half of the show, just talk about different rules. It'll always be something different. It won't be the same thing. I'll do the best I can to stop it from being stale on the same topics all the time. But I'll pick and choose listener questions, any emails, any comments you guys have in our threads, or anytime you need anything, let me know. I'll be happy to talk about it. I'll come up with my own original topics every week, and then I'll try to take a team if you submit it, or I'll dig them out of my 13 leagues that I'm in, or all the other leagues I'm in also, that I can grab one team from every week and kind of say, hey, this guy's in a little bit of trouble, or this team's pristine, but how does he start building for the future, or anything. Just I kind of want it to go like just commissioner and some give other people visions of how to improve their team, and that's it. Hopefully it's fun. Hopefully it catches on. Hopefully you guys all join in and it can help me out during the show with some on live chat room comments about what about this, what about that guy, or submit your teams. I'll be more than happy to do whatever I can to help you out, guys.
Whether you have commish questions, commish scenarios, maybe you're in a league and you're just an owner. You don't know the other owners that well. Maybe there's some funky stuff going on. John is here to help you guys. Anything commissioner related, that's kind of what we're setting this up for. That's why John brought this to the table. It's something that's lacking. We know the guys that are touching on commish in other podcasts, and we respect that. John's bringing something different. He wants to help you guys out, whether you're in a league, whether you're commissioning a league, you have questions about even you have questions about anything rule related. Reach out to John at John McGlynn, MCGLYNN 75. And every other week, man, he's going to drop some goodness. And if you have a roster, either you took it over as an orphan or you built something and maybe you're in the finals every year and you lose, or in the semis and you lose, and you're like, John, what's the move, man? What am I missing? Reach out to him, man, at John McGlynn 75. And Dan, John, anything to add on that? I'll go to Dan. John, you said enough, man. That's enough.
No, not much to add at all. I mean, John commissioning 13 leagues. That's immediately got my respect. That's a tough thing to do. And especially all live leagues, none of them online or anything like that. You're having to do it all in person and everything. It's a tough job, but on the other hand, it definitely keeps you involved in the everyday nitty gritty. And it sounds like you got a great system. So if you're out there struggling as a commissioner, John's going to be a great resource for you. So make sure you check him out.
Yeah, and you know what? Reach out to your commission. Give him a hey, bud, man. Appreciate what you're doing because
thank you.
I run the GOAT leagues. It's not 13, it's 3. I'll face it. Yeah. But it's still, you get certain times of the year or certain things happen where it gets a little testy, and these are things you want to discuss, you want to hash out to make sure that you're making the right decision for the good of the league. Because the last thing you want to do as a commission is make one decision or make some rule change that pisses off enough people for that league to die out. And, we've been blessed in the GOAT leagues, amazing owners. We've always talked everything out. I mean, the GOAT leagues is so active. It's hard not to hash it out or discuss anything, especially with a guy like Nate in there and, the Shiva and Randy, Randy from the War Zone and guys like Dan. But, yeah, man, just if you have anything that you're wondering about when it comes to your league settings, your commissioner, reach out to John. He will discuss it on the show. I know he's planning on bringing in some guests, that kind of thing. So any ideas you have that, maybe he hasn't even thought of, just reach out, drop it at Goat District or goatdistrict@gmail. If you do want to email, because I know John was saying email, send a message there. But look, man, it's always a good time hanging with both of you guys, talking fantasy. Dan, we did it again, man. We are just this is why I was telling John he has to figure out a way to do this without us, because we're at 90 minutes again. It was supposed to be 30 to 45 minutes, and we are at 90 minutes again. So we apologize, but we also say you're welcome, because look, man, there's some goodness in here. And if you're listening, I will say this: our listeners are fucking awesome. You guys are awesome. You guys tune in consistently all season. You guys tune in with your friends, your family all off season, and you guys just send in feedback and you tag Dan and I. Now you can add John to the tags on your trades, on your rosters. Do that, man. Post a pic of your roster, tag, Dan, John, and I, and then ask us whatever your question is. Should I move my quarterback? Should I move Mahomes? Just anything like that, man. Reach out. We'll help you out as much as we can. We appreciate you guys tuning in on the weekly. We'll keep bringing the goodness. And I think that's it. Anything else, guys? I think that's it. No?
Thanks for trying. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the show, everyone. It means a lot when you're to listen.
There's only one more thing to say, boys. We'll check you all
District, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text. That trash offer's the best. You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.